Guys, and welcome back to episode number 5 and the final episode in my mini-series. And today we are going to cover what to eat to get lean and to build muscle as a female without overcomplicating it. So before we dive in, make sure you go down to the link below and download the Physique Undivided calculator. This is going to walk you through exactly how to set your macros and set your calories based on your own goals, whether you are building, whether you are dieting, whether your goal is to maintain. This is going to completely remove the guesswork and show you how to fuel your physique the right way. So point number 1, most women do not have a nutrition problem, they have a strategy problem. And what I mean by this is that eating healthy is not the same as eating for results. So you could be eating a really nutrient dense, well-balanced diet, but at the same time, you could be not hitting what you actually need to build muscle, lose fat, and ultimately see the result in your physique that you want. So you could be eating all the right things, all the right types of foods, you could still be under eating on your protein, not hitting the right amount of calories, or just generally like lacking structure with your everyday meals. And if we actually break this down, if you are just eating random meals without any sort of structure, that is also going to lead to random results. So if you have a goal and you want to move forward towards that goal, I am going to break down in the next few steps, step by step, what exactly you need to do to get the results that you want. So point number 2 is the role of calories in your physique journey. And a lot of women will say, oh, well, I don't want to track my calories, I just want to eat healthy, which absolutely fine. But if you are doing that and you are not seeing the progress you want, then it's because your protein, your calories, they're not aligned with the goal that you actually want. And intuitive eating is a really, really good thing to be able to do long term. And, you know, it's not necessarily that you need to track your calories for the rest of your life, but tracking calories and having some sort of structure and actually putting the work in is a really, really good way of educating yourself in terms of what you actually need to make progress towards your goals. If we break it down, calories are essentially energy, and you need the right amount of energy to make the progress towards your goals, whether that be to build muscle, to diet and lose body fat, or to maintain your current progress. So if you are someone that is wanting to build muscle, you need a calorie surplus. So you need to be eating more calories than what your body is currently using on a day-to-day basis, because there needs to be an excess of energy, A, for you to build muscle, and B, for you to actually fuel your training properly and recover from what you're doing. If you are wanting to lose body fat and get leaner, you need to be eating in a consistent calorie deficit, and that means eating less calories than what your body is using on a day-to-day basis. And if you're wanting to maintain your fat loss progress, or you are just wanting to sit at maintenance for a little bit, then you need to be matching those energy needs. And one thing I will say is the document below is going to give you a starting point for how you can work out your calories, but just bear in mind that every single female is different, and this is going to be needed to be adjusted based on the progress that you are making throughout your journey. What you don't want to do is you don't want to slash your calories super low straight off the bat and just fear food without any structure and without any routine, because if you are going super low calorie, that can cause an equally negative impact in terms of breaking down muscle, leading to inadequate muscle growth, or even having a negative effect on fat loss if it's something that you're not able to stick with. So point number 3, protein is queen. Whether you are in a building phase, whether you're on a maintenance, whether you're in fat loss, protein is one of the key things that you want to be focusing on. So this is essentially what allows you to build muscle, and it allows you to preserve muscle even when you're dieting as well. It also helps with your recovery from your training, and it's going to help you stay fuller for longer, which is obviously a really, really important thing if you are someone that is trying to lose body fat. You do not want to be starving ideally. So a really rough guideline with this is looking around 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight as a start point. If you are someone that weighs, I'm going to make it nice and easy, 150 pounds as a female, you're looking roughly 150 to 170 grams of protein per day. I know that might seem quite high, but a really easy way of hitting this is breaking it down into meals. So ideally, you want to be looking at around 4 to 5 protein servings over the course of the day as a rough guide. So say if your protein goal is 150 grams, you would divide that into 5 equal meals, and that will give you your protein target roughly per meal across the day. That is a really easy way of hitting your protein target, having a set number of meals versus just tracking your calories and hoping that you hit your protein target by the end of the day. Point number 4 is your carbohydrate intake. Now, carbs are not the enemy. You need carbohydrates to function properly. Your carbs actually support your training, they drive your training performance, and they give you energy. If you are slashing your carbs super low, especially when you're dieting, you're just going to find that you're massively lacking energy. Of course, when you're dieting, your calories go lower. Obviously, you might find your carb intake goes a little bit lower, but especially in the early days of dieting, you don't need to be slashing your carbs super low. You can keep carbs in your meal as long as you're in alignment with your calorie goal. And if we flip that on its head, if you've got a goal of building muscle, carbs are going to be so useful in terms of your training performance. And in either phase, you want to be having carbs in your pre-workout and in your post-workout meal. Point number 5 is having a structure, and I am a massive advocate of this. So rather than actually just tracking your calories as you go, it is so difficult to hit your calories, to hit your protein, to actually have a life around tracking your food if you are just consistently tracking on a meal-to-meal basis. So the easiest way to do this is to set yourself a structure. So pick the number of meals that you want to eat on a day-to-day basis, and then what I recommend doing is setting some of these meals in stone, and also setting yourself rough meal timings for each meal as well. So whilst tracking can actually be really useful in terms of building your awareness around what's in certain foods, it's the overall structure and building those habits that is going to lead to sustaining these results long term. So a really easy tip to take away a lot of the time that comes with consistently tracking is to have meals that you rotate around. So say for example you are eating 4 meals a day, you might find that actually you keep 1 to 2 breakfasts, 1 to 2 lunches and 1 to 2 kind of snacks in place, and you can then rotate those alternating meals. And what that means is you're not having to consistently track all those meals. You might track in 1 to 2 meals at the start of the week, and then as you go through the week you can just alternate between those 2 meals, and that means you know what time you're eating, you know what meals you're eating, and it is so much less time consuming because you're not having to track every single day of the week. And you know what that means? Your consistency is going to be better, and also you're going to find it so much easier to actually hit your target. And what that means is obviously the longer you do this for, you start to gauge an idea of what's in certain foods and what's not, and you basically end up with a weekly rotation of meals that you know fit into your goals without you having to meticulously track every single thing and do it as you go on a whim. So point number 6, we're going to go through what to eat in each phase of your journey with some simple guidelines. So if you are in a building phase, you are female, you want to build more muscle, you need to be eating, as we said earlier, in a calorie surplus. So this is going to mean your protein stays the same, around 1 to 1.2 grams, and then you fill the remaining calories with a combination of carbohydrates and fats, and the details are in the worksheet below if you do want to work that out. Normally I would recommend starting in a surplus around 1 to 200 calories above your maintenance calories, and then what you can basically do from there is track your progress and just really slowly start to increase your calories. And one thing to bear in mind is when you are looking at your protein intake, you want your protein to be coming from good quality food sources. If you start adding in things like more carbs and more fats, bear in mind that is going to slightly increase your protein because things like pasta and bread have a little bit of trace protein within those foods, even though they're not a quality protein source. So if you are in a fat loss phase, again, you want deficit calories, okay? So you want to be, again, normally I would start in around about a 300 calorie deficit per day. Again, your protein still needs to be high, 1 to 1.2 grams, and then you fill the rest of your calories, again, with the carbs and the fats. And the key thing with this is consistency. What you can then do is track your progress, and if you're not making progress and you're being consistent, you can pull your calories down a little bit lower. And finally, your maintenance phase, your calories will stay nice and consistent around maintenance. Bear in mind that your maintenance calories may change slightly over time. It's not a set number that is completely set in stone. It's something that can fluctuate, especially if you are building a little bit of muscle. From maintenance, if you've reached your goal, you can transition away from tracking calories if you want to and go into more of a habit-based approach. So point number 7 is your nutrition does not have to be perfect every single day. Like, I follow a nutrition plan, I bodybuild competitively, and I still have times where I will go out for a day trip, or I'll go out for a meal, or I'll go for a holiday, and I won't track my food or follow a plan. But it's really important that if you have a specific goal, if you have a fat loss goal, you need to be consistent, and it's about choosing the time and the place to be able to have a little bit of a break and have a little bit of flexibility as well. But my number 1 tip with this is stop chasing perfection every single day, and instead just focus on being consistent over a prolonged time frame with your nutrition. So being able to have a little bit of flexibility, be able to build long-term habits, and also knowing knowing when you need to actually knuckle down and really stick to your plan is what is going to get you to where you want to be and also create long-term change as well. And point number 8, this is the most important point in my opinion, is stop making it overcomplicated. Stop trying to jazz it up and make it really exciting. Like, your results are going to come from keeping things simple and repeating what you are doing. So what I mean by that is work out your calorie goal, work out your protein goal, work out how many meals you want to eat a day, and then actually build yourself kind of a little routine of meals that you can easily rotate into your plan, so you don't end up massively having to overcomplicate things and track every single thing that you're doing day to day. Results will come from repeating the basics really, really well and building that routine with your nutrition that works for you. If you still feel a bit unsure, like I said, head down, download the link. There is the Physique Undivided calculator that basically explains exactly where to start and how to go about this. Let me know what you think, and if you are still really struggling and you want one-to-one support, then I've also popped my one-to-one coaching link down below where you can book a free call with me. Whether you are building muscle, whether you are getting leaner, whether you are maintaining, this is the formula that I use with my clients to get them incredible life-changing results.